I don't want to be strong like man who look pretty. I want to be strong like bitch that fight bears in the forest.
Welcome to another episode of Bitch vs. Bear with your hosts, me, Amber, my bestie, Sydney.
Woohoo! I should have sneezed right then.
It was very subdued.
I know. I'm just fighting a sneeze.
We are co-owners of Shield Maiden Training Co., and this is a show where we bitch, laugh, and chat about all things, everything, fitness, wellness, anything else we could think of related to women and the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
We have strayed.
We...
But that's okay.
No, it's great. I love it.
I love it too. Right. What are we getting into today, the week before Christmas?
Week before Christmas. And I think this is a great time to put this episode out because people, if you listen to last week's episode talking about, the struggles of body positivity during the holidays and kind of heading into the new year, there's lots of comments on our bodies and the way we look and the pressures around that. So today we're going to dive into a topic that's literally everywhere right now. Like I get Instagram. I have never once looked up. Well, now I have looked them up. But before this is what prompted is like I was getting ads for these things and they are the GLP-1 medications. So if you're not familiar with that, that's mostly Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. These meds have been stealing the health and fitness spotlight.
Yikes.
Companies like Noom, Weight Watchers, they have started incorporating them into their weight loss programs.
Ooh.
Yeah. But a lot of people, obviously, Ozempic kind of took the airwaves a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into what they are, how did they rise to fame so quickly, and most importantly, how are they impacting women and the LGBTQ plus community?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel like everyone has that friend or family member who's suddenly talking about one of these GLP-1s.
Yeah.
They're not calling them that, but
yeah, they're saying like Ozempic or Wegovy.
But for those of us who haven't been glued to the health news, let's start from the beginning. So, Sydney, what exactly are these medications? So,
GLP-1s stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, which is a hormone that the body naturally produces.
Okay.
The role of this hormone is to help manage blood sugar by stimulating insulin production and slowing down digestion.
Well, that sounds like it should be a diabetes medication.
It is, and that's how it was introduced. So, in the case of type 2 diabetes, people either don't make enough insulin or their body uses it inefficiently. That's where these medications come in. They are mimicking that hormone to help control blood sugar levels. But here's where it gets interesting. They also affect appetite by making you feel full for longer.
Okay.
So this is why doctors started noticing significant weight loss in patients taking these medications.
So essentially, these were developed to help with diabetes, but this side effect of weight loss that all of a sudden has now made them the main attraction.
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
Or has become the main attraction.
Yeah. So think about it similarly,
Sketchy.
right? Like what else? A lot of these things develop this way, right? The keto diet was there to treat seizures. And so everything comes back to this weight loss paradigm, right?
Yes.
So these have an off-label benefit that took the spotlight. To be clear, some versions like Wegovy and are FDA approved specifically for weight loss. So they are, Wegovy is a compounded, while others like Ozempic are still officially used for diabetes, but are often used for weight management too.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the weight loss results are really dramatic. People are losing anywhere from 10 to 15% of their body weight.
Oh my gosh.
That's why that's what's making these drugs so popular and why you're hearing them mentioned in fitness circles, in Hollywood, even just around the family dinner table. Is because they are incredibly effective, but that there are some downsides, and we're going to get into those. Yeah.
How quickly is that happening?
Quickly. Very quickly.
Ooh, that doesn't seem safe. Okay. So now the fitness industry is like in a weird spot, right?
Yeah.
Gyms and trainers are suddenly having clients come in who have lost this pretty substantial amount of weight very quickly without the use of the usual exercise or diet plans. It feels like that's kind of a shifting landscape.
Totally. Oh, yeah. On one hand, you have people who have struggled with weight for years suddenly finding success in ways they hadn't before, which is awesome for them, right? Like if you have somebody who's obese, who has really struggled with this, who has done and put in the work, who has gone through therapy, like whatever.
Yeah.
But there's the flip side, and it's raising the question of the fitness industry. Are people going to stop focusing on exercise and just rely on medications? Is this a competition with traditional methods like working out and eating healthier? And we know that GLP-1s don't exactly sculpt your body.
Right.
You might lose a lot of weight, but you're not necessarily gaining muscle or improving like cardiovascular health.
Right.
So there's still a major need for fitness professionals to help people maintain a balance in this approach.
Well, yeah. Because like just because you've lost the weight doesn't mean you're any healthier.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Ooh. Okay. So that being said, these drugs work best in combination with a healthy lifestyle. Plus, losing weight quickly, like you do with those medications, can sometimes lead to muscle loss, which is not what we're looking for. We want to gain those muscles.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Muscle loss. And these drugs have been known to cause muscle loss.
Oh, no.
So in combination, right? Because if you're losing weight, muscle weighs more than fat.
Right.
So if you're dramatically reducing weight in a very quick window, you are losing fat and muscle mass.
Right.
There is
taking
no way
whatever it
around
wants.
that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's no good. That's no good. Okay, so fitness trainers and gyms obviously are not obsolete. They're actually really crucial to help people make the most of their weight loss journey in this way, whether it's strength training, cardio, or flexibility. And there's that mental side too, right? Fitness is also about emotional well-being, reducing stress, and creating that community, which you're not going to get from a pill.
Yeah. And also, the pill form is relatively new in these drugs. These are injectables. Yeah.
No, thank you.
That is the primary
No,
way
thank you.
of delivering these drugs is injection.
I don't like that. No. So while we're on the topic of emotional well-being, skipping right over the injections, let's talk about how
GLP-1.
GPS.
Yes, how GPS.
How GLP-1 meds intersect with women's health and the LGBTQ plus community. There are some unique dynamics. Tell me more, Sydney.
Sure. For women, the pressure to meet certain body standards is nothing new, right? Like we know that. We're constantly bombarded with images of what the ideal body is, what our BMI is supposed to be, how we're supposed to be sculpted, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
When something like a GLP-1 comes along, promising fast and significant weight loss, it can feel like an easy solution to all of that pressure.
Yes.
But we know it's not that simple.
What?
Yeah.
There's that idea of like choice, right? Are women truly choosing to take these medications for themselves? Or is it partly driven by societal pressure? I'd say it's probably a lot driven by societal pressure. And while for some, weight loss can be empowering, for others, it can add even more stress, especially if they start to feel like they have to maintain their results or fit into a specific mold, which I can totally see. Like, okay, you've lost this weight, but now like you have to keep taking this medication.
And it's not an inexpensive medication, right? Ozempic, for example, is like $1,000.
Oh my God.
So usually these medications are delivered by injectable, and it's like once a month. So, and if you have to use it for 6 months to achieve your weight loss, like that time span,
oh my God, that is
they're
so expensive.
getting, some of them are getting less expensive, but still, I mean, even kind of like the off-branded compound, if you're ordering it from like some third party, like, are still like $250 pop.
That is wild. That is wild.
Yeah. So it's not an inexpensive solution.
And then, yeah, like, I would imagine that this is not something you can or should take indefinitely.
Well, that's the other thing is, like, these medications are not over-the-counter medications. You
Right.
need to be prescribed them. So you have to get with a doctor or a medical professional, somebody who is hopefully familiar with your treatment plan, especially, you know, you don't want to be going and buying this just like black market because, like,
Right.
especially with an injectable, like,
Yeah, no, thank you. Mm-mm.
So,
Mm-mm.
and, you know, kind of looking at the LGBTQ perspective,
Yeah.
There are additional layers there, you know,
There always are.
for trans folks, for instance, body image can be super tied to the identity and gender dysphoria. If weight loss from these meds helps them feel more comfortable in their bodies, that can be a really positive thing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it can also create and amplify pressures to fit a certain look or standard within that queer community. And then there's that you know, already unspoken pressure in some LGBTQ spaces around having the right body type.
Yeah.
And these medications are probably fueling that thought process of like, oh, well, this is how I can get that right body type.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
I should have read ahead.
It's
Covered
okay.
cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would imagine that most of these medications, because we were just talking about cost, are not probably covered by insurance, because this does not seem like something that the general population needs.
Yeah. So some are, but again, because depending on the medication, and this is an off-label
Right.
usage,
Oh, right. Yeah.
sometimes they're not. So it depends on like what your doctor's actually prescribing, which medication they're prescribing.
Mhm.
Some is covered, some is not. So this can create a really big divide in between people who can afford them and those who can't.
Yeah.
So while the drugs are life-changing for some, it's important to acknowledge the access is completely uneven.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
For sure.
the people from marginalized communities, especially like LGBTQ folks who are already facing health barriers, will likely not have the same access to this drug.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like the wellness gap is widening, right? Where wealthier individuals have access to these quick fixes while others are just totally left out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just so tough, especially when body image issues already hit these communities the hardest.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's
Because they don't have access to healthcare, to beauty products, to expensive clothes, to
expensive
all the
gym
things
memberships.
you're supposed to have.
Yeah, like all of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really a double-edged sword. Like, on one hand, these medications can be incredibly beneficial, especially for people who have a long-term struggle with weight loss. You know, the folks who haven't found success through traditional methods, who have other barriers put in place. And then on the other hand, we have to be careful to not create unrealistic expectations. And we definitely have to keep the conversation going around equity and access and mental health and the overall well-being, right? Like, just so many of us tie our weight to how we feel in our mental health. But like, okay, if you might lose a crap ton of weight on this drug, but then like, what's the mental side of that? It's like, okay, now you've lost the weight, but you still feel depressed or anxious, or it's like, then it's compounding of like, oh God, I've lost the weight, but I still feel like shit.
Right. Because it wasn't the weight that was making you feel that way.
Exactly.
It was the patriarchy all along.
Yeah. It was the societal pressures. It was all of those things.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm sure that was a lot of information.
It was a lot of information.
Where does this leave us in terms of advice for our listeners? Should women and LGBTQ folks be cautious about these medications? Should they be striving to take these medications?
I think probably cautious. No, I think it's about balance and self-awareness. If someone is considering taking GLP-1s, it's super important to work with a healthcare provider and understand both the benefits and the risks. These meds are really powerful tools, but they're not magic, and they won't fix those deeper issues related to self-image and societal pressure. I looked up and lost my place. There we go. It's also important to keep focusing on holistic wellness, right? This is what we preach. Holistic wellness. Eating well, exercising, staying mentally healthy. Health isn't just about the number on the scale. It's just a number.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. And for those in the LGBTQ plus community, make sure you have a support system in place, whether that's friends, family, or a mental health professional. Taking care of your mental and emotional health while navigating these decisions is the key.
Yeah.
Like, that is paramount. And the bottom line is this. GLP-1 medications are exciting. I got excited.
Yeah.
Talking about them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that could solve all my problems.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And they do offer a lot of potential.
They do.
But they also come with a lot of complexities, especially for women and LGBTQ plus folks. Whether you're considering them or just curious about the hype, stay informed, be kind and compassionate to yourself, and always prioritize your overall wellness.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform and share with all your friends.
Yes.
That is a wrap. Whether you're lifting weights or lifting each other up, let's keep breaking barriers, building strength. That's an important one.
Yes, it is.
And embracing our rainbow of resilience. Until next time, stay fierce and stay fabulous.